Underrepresented founders face structural isolation. Even with a viable business model, scaling is difficult when access to capital and trusted professional networks is limited. The default fix for this isolation is usually to launch a digital platform, a centralized forum or a chat group designed to connect everyone instantly. But dropping people into a digital space does not create a network. Without a mechanism to guide behavior, participation stalls. Members stop logging in, and the platform quickly becomes a static, empty space. Edli operates on the premise that a functional community is a highly structured operating system. We call this community architecture. It requires moving away from passive hosting and building an active, guided machine that intentionally moves members from registration to daily participation. We are going to deconstruct the EDLI framework to examine the exact mechanical layers that transform a standard digital tool into a self-sustaining entrepreneurial ecosystem. Intentional structural design is the only reliable way to keep these digital networks from collapsing under their own inertia. The foundation of this architecture relies on a closed-loop incentive structure called the dual-engine value exchange. In the EDLI value exchange model, the central node is the community platform, the hub where actors trade resources. On the left, founders extract value, curated business knowledge, peer-to-peer networks, and direct access to mentors and capital. Supplying value to founders is necessary, but it drains resources. Without a counterweight to inject new capital and expertise, the system depletes itself. That counterweight sits on the right side, outlining the value for strategic partners. They gain directed access to early-stage businesses and a visible platform for thought leadership. These two cohorts continuously feed one another. Partners supply the expertise and opportunities, while founders supply the engagement and the talent pipeline. If tangible business value flows in only one direction, the incentives break down and the ecosystem's engine will stall. Yet, perfectly aligned incentives do not guarantee engagement. Structural friction will still cause users to abandon the platform over time. EDLI's engagement app model maps behavioral milestones to predict where members leave. The first drop-off happens between registration and activation. Members face decision overload and freeze. Nearly 26% leave permanently. Those who activate often fall into the third gap at stage 3. They become lurkers. Posting publicly carries a psychological barrier. Finally, at stage 4, members encounter the retention gap. Even if they have posted once, they fail to form a regular habit. Without predictable reasons to log back in, their participation becomes erratic, and the community loses its momentum entirely. EDLI data identifies a strict 30 to 90-day window to correct this trajectory. If a member hasn't achieved regular participation by day 90, they are highly likely to drop out permanently. Member drop-off occurs when the program fails to systematically push users past these specific friction points. Identifying where users drop off is only the diagnostic phase. Bridging those gaps requires an active intervention mechanism. Looking at the EDLI community architecture chart, the bottom layer provides that mechanism through a set of standardized, daily programmatic rhythms executed by human managers. To close the activation gap, the system enforces a strict onboarding protocol. Within the first 48 hours, new members are routed through a required 3-step pathway to guarantee an immediate early win. To solve the interaction gap and pull lurkers into the conversation, community managers actively facilitate the space, manually tagging members into threads. To bridge the retention gap, the system relies on strict weekly activities across a set timeline. These include recurring rhythms like Monday founder check-ins and Friday wins. This provides users with a predictable cadence, so they always know exactly when and why they should return. In the early stages, community managers must manually orchestrate and enforce these rhythms. They act as the engine's starter motor until the interactions evolve into self-sustaining community habits. By treating the community as a strict operational cadence, EDLI eliminates the reliance on organic, random engagement, ensuring consistent participation week after week. This rigorous operational cadence applies to the entrepreneurs, but it also dictates exactly how strategic partners plug into the ecosystem. The architecture enforces a strict rule. Strategic partners cannot act as passive corporate sponsors who write a check and place a logo on the site. To enforce this, partners are routed through a mandatory 5-step integration process. Looking at steps 3 and 4, partners are required to create highly visible profiles and immediately share specific, actionable business resources with the network. They are then tasked with leading workshops, webinars, and office hours. This active participation directly fuels the educational content engine required by the community operating system to keep founders engaged. A thriving ecosystem requires converting passive financial sponsors into active operational mentors who are integrated directly into the daily rhythms of the platform. When the community operating system continuously drives both the founders and the partners through these structured loops, a shift occurs in the network's momentum. The ultimate output of this architecture is the ecosystem flywheel. It begins in the top left, where intentional onboarding and active management drive high early engagement. Looking top right, that reliable engagement proves the community's return on investment, attracting partners eager to share their expertise. That high-level partner expertise equips the founders to achieve measurable business success. Those successful founders naturally evolve into advocates, generating the referrals and social proof needed to pull new entrepreneurs right back into the start of the funnel. As this momentum compounds, the ecosystem becomes increasingly self-sustaining. The community managers who once had to manually spark every interaction can gradually step back as peer-to-peer habits take over. Through rigorous operational architecture, a digital platform becomes a living network, ensuring that underrepresented founders never have to build their businesses alone.